Almost 20,000 inmates are released in the state of Kentucky each year. That transition back to life, back to being a civilian, it can be a tough one, but with the help of Prodigal Ministries, it can go a lot smoother and with a lot more success. With me now is Jennifer Parton. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John.
So good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And we also have Brad Roberts. Okay, now Jennifer, I want to get this right. Brad, welcome in. I'm sorry.
Welcome
in. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Jennifer, I want to get this right. So you're the Director of Development and Programs, right?
Yes.
And then Brad, you're the House Manager at West Oak Street, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit first, a little overview, if you would, Jennifer, exactly what Prodigal Ministries does, their mission, and who they help.
Prodigal Ministries is a residential program for men and women transitioning from prison back into society, and we're basically an advocacy program for them. We provide housing and job training. We are a Christian organization, so we work on their relationship with Christ and engaging them in relationships with people who will disciple them and walk alongside them. We have 4 houses, 3 for men and 1 for women, and we've been around for 30 years. 2 community leaders began the program, I think in 1994. Is that 30 years? So it's whatever.
That's a long time.
Hey, math is not my strength. I just counted. But anyhow, it started out as a mentoring program, and they quickly realized that a couple of hours a week was not going to even touch the layers of dysfunction and generational issues and incarceration and addiction. So we opened our first house, rented our first house, and then we bought our first house, I think, in 2004, and then our 2005, 2008, and 2012. So we've been around for a while.
So obviously had success.
We have had success. The return to prison rate, I think for the Kentucky, it's around 34%, and we float between 12 and 14% of return.
Congratulations.
Thank
so you're
you.
accomplishing your mission.
We are.
Good for you. I think the spiritual part of it, the foundation, spirituality is important. And I know that there's been studies that prove if you believe in being held accountable, that it does pay dividends, and that there's a higher being that loves you. It's important. Brad, tell us about your story. Your story to me, I think it's going to be interesting because I came into you and I said, second chances are important. And I think you said something along the lines, how about the 50th chance? And I said, are you talking about me?
And sad but true, that's what it takes sometimes. It is a process. For me, I started out early adulthood. I mean, by the time I hit 18, I was already starting to kind of piddle around with it. And for me, it was just, I started to find an escape from reality. When life came at me hard and I get overwhelmed, because, my generation is you don't talk about problems.
That's right.
You deal with them, you suck them up.
Especially men.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Own it, move forward. And that was my scapegoat. And I just continuously got myself to a point to where I was like, how did I get here? I ended up getting sentenced to 26 years in prison altogether. Meth was a big issue for me, and alcoholism. And, my whole family, drugs impacted their life. And the sad thing is they never used them. From me, was the impact of their life.
The fact that you realize that, that's courage, and that's a big part of the process, isn't it?
That's the game changer.
When you hurt others, it really affected you.
Exactly. I would always hear, you're impacting us, you're hurting us, and if I'm the one that's in here alone, I'm the one in here serving this time. Y'all got each other out there. Well, closed-mindedness. And reality, I ended up missing out on my first 3 kids' lives.
Oh, and
totally.
These people love you and miss you.
Loved me and missed me and just didn't want nothing from them. They just wanted dad. And I couldn't provide that.
So what do you do for Prodigal Ministries now, Brad?
So I get to take what I've been through. Christ blessed me with people in my life that impacted me, and it was only through Christ that I got out of that lifestyle. I've been sober almost 9 years.
Congrats.
I've been out of prison since 2017. I actually went through Second Hope Ministries, which we've been blessed to partner with Prodigal. And it sparked out that I was their first person to come in transitional housing to I became their first employee, and now I'm a first-time employee with Prodigal full-time. I take my story and I let these guys know I've been there too. I know your struggles, and I found a way out, So I get to sit down with them all. I've received a full pardon. My record's been expunged. And
Congrats.
It's just amazing. I've saved every one of my mug shots. Not that I'm proud of, But the very first day our guys get there, that's what I show them.
Kind of a reminder too, and yeah, and it's like, look, I have
Yeah.
lived.
I have lived
I've
there.
been where you are.
Right.
And
So
there's a lot to be
let's
said for
do
that.
this.
They'll listen to you.
Right. And it's like teaching a kid how to drive a car, but the first thing I tell these guys, here's the brake. Pump the brake. Slow down. You're not going to catch up those years you lost. But we can make the most out of today, being ready for tomorrow to make it successful. So,
Wow.
you know, I get to walk with these men, build trust with them, spread the love of Christ and truth of that, and we put a roadmap together, I call it, for them and their success.
Fantastic. I love the direction your life has gone. Congratulations to you. Jennifer, when you hear stories like this, it must be rewarding. So my next question to you is, how can folks who are watching help? Perhaps they've had a loved one who's been incarcerated, or perhaps they hear a story like Brad's and go, look, this is making the state of Kentucky better and stronger. Brad's now productive. How can they help?
Well, first of all, we have a website that they can go to and learn a little bit more about us, and we do have some stories on there, and we have opportunities how they can help. I think always financial donations, but I think we just bringing food to the house, maybe for before a Bible study, transportation to appointments and that sort of thing. Help me out here, buddy.
You know, if some,
Starter
he's in the
packs,
trenches every day.
if someone leads a church
backpacks
group,
with hygiene stuff. And,
Yeah.
you know,
if
things
there's
like
someone
that.
watching who leads a
about-
church group,
Please
I
reach
would
out.
think they could want to reach out and help, maybe a men's group or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
a Bible study, and not just folks like that. I think regardless of your religious faith, I think you can see changing people's lives is certainly something that God believes in and God wants to see happen. So Jennifer, talk to me a little bit about I'm curious, what's the average stay in the house? How long does that transition
Probably 4
usually
to
take?
7 months.
4 to 7 months.
We're
What do you
hoping-
recommend?
About a year.
A year.
A year.
Yeah. And one of the things that we have recognized is, just like in regular society, issues are worse now. I mean, people would have more problems. And so we are actually branching out and starting a prodigal counseling services that once we get jump through all the hoops, we will be up and running, but we will be doing mental health assessments. So we'll have a better idea of what type of a program to present for a person. And I think probably a year would be.
So you guys are expanding. I love the counseling.
We are,
I noticed
yeah.
I was reading that
Yeah.
y'all are starting a counseling program. Congratulations
Thank
to you.
you, yeah.
So yeah, like you said, then you get a better understanding of the issues. Gotcha.
Yeah, and one of the things too, John, is even if somebody transitions out of the house into the community, it's just like a family. You're in the family unless you don't want to be. And so we still offer community services. We have people come back for counseling if they're medical needs or financial needs, jobs, anything. I mean, we're family, so we hope that everybody stays in it.
Yeah, and a lot to be said for a support
Yeah.
system. And you're saying
Yeah.
that doesn't quit once you leave the home.
No.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think the important part here is, first of all, Brad, thank you again. It does take courage to say, look, I've had my issues. I'm doing my best to be a better man, and that's obvious. Congrats to you.
Right.
And then again, I want to talk about the website, where people can go to help, because obviously your entity and what you're doing is truly God's work. So again, if you would remind them, Jennifer, where to go?
You go to the website, Prodigal Ministries, prodigalky.org. Sorry. Excuse me. I want to say something about Sabrina earlier. We too lose people because relapse is a big thing. We also have folks who have gone through the system who were traffickers, and so her story was impactful.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Well, thank you that shows your compassionate heart and your empathy. So
It was tough.
Thank you very much. Okay, once again, Prodigal Ministries. I encourage you to go to the website, and if you can help, please do so.